It's no secret that the 2025 box office has been off to a very rough start. Films are flopping left and right. It seems like every week there's a new film that's just losing hundreds of millions of dollars. But don't worry, the summer blockbuster season is quickly approaching. So here are the summer blockbusters I think are most likely to make $1 billion at the box office. Now, a quick side note, the Minecraft movie is actually like doubling all of the predictions for what people thought it was going to make at the box office and is on pace to make $1 billion. If it will quite make it there, I don't know. But I think the power of I Am Steve and Chicken Jockey might honestly make it there. Now, I'm only going to be ranking movies that actually have somewhat of a chance to make $1 billion, so like John Wick spin-off, Ballerina, Elio, movies like those are not going to be included, sadly. Coming in 6th place is the How to Train Your Dragon live-action remake. You know I'm against live-action remakes, but people have seen this movie already. It premiered last week at CinemaCon, and people are saying this is like the perfect way to do a live-action adaptation. It improves upon the original. Some are saying it adds a little bit more depth to the story. Also important to keep in mind that the How to Train Your Dragon movies are no like slouch at the box office. The second one made $621 million worldwide, and this was the highest grossing of the 3 How to Train Your Dragon original movies, and people really love these. I think the movies are really good. They're just like not my personal favorite animated films ever. So with all that taken into account, I think it's fair to give this movie about a 15% chance of making $1 billion at the box office, because once again, it would have to outperform the highest grossing of the original movies by like $300 million. It's not impossible. Family films like these do make a lot of money because obviously if you're selling tickets to like a family of 4 or 5, that's a lot more tickets than movies that only sell tickets to like 1 or 2 friends going and seeing a film. So the amount of live action remakes of other franchises that will get greenlit immediately if this thing made $1 billion would be insane. Speaking of which, number 5 is the live action Lilo and Stitch movie. I know what you're thinking. Oh my god, Snow White just absolutely bombed. Why would Disney live action remakes ever make a ton of money ever again? But I think Snow White was really just an outlier. There was so much drama around that movie for so many months. And Lilo and Stitch, it's not like the first one broke the box office or anything when the original animated film came out, but this has really become like a modern cult classic. A bunch of kids now have grown up with this film. There's going to be a bunch of new families wanting to go and see it. People my age that grew up with the film that are also going to want to go and see this. Even though me, myself, I don't really personally care about this movie. Again, if it's a family film, you have to give it a decent chance. I really don't think it's going to make it there, but I'll give this also a 15% chance, same as How to Train Your Dragon. At number 4, I'm going with Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, likely the final time we'll ever see Tom Cruise or a Mission Impossible movie in theaters, and that's why I think this film has a chance, because listen, no Mission Impossible movie has ever made $1 billion at the box office. Mission Impossible Fallout, the 6th one, was the closest. It made almost $800 million. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 only made $571 million, which is no bad box office, but since this was released right before like Barbie and Oppenheimer, it would seem like this was the biggest flop in the world, especially compared to the budget that was huge. Again, is this incredibly likely to make $1 billion? No, but you have to consider, again, Tom Cruise still has some box office magic. He could pull off just another random summer hit like he did with Top Gun Maverick. That just took over. Everybody's like, oh my god, I'm gonna go and see this movie. Tom Cruise could do that, and the fact that this is his last film, most likely in the Mission Impossible franchise, I think will give it a big boost. And plus, they learned they're getting it out ahead of the summer season. The only things coming out before are like the Thunderbolts, which yeah, is not on this list. That does not have a chance of making $1 billion, sadly, although I do think it looks very good. And like Lilo and Stitch, it's competing with it. Again, that's more of a family-centered film. This is not directly competing with it. It's getting in front of all of the summer blockbusters. So I'm going to give it a 30% chance of hitting $1 billion at the box office. At number 3, I'm going with the Fantastic Four: The First Steps. I'm giving this movie a 40% chance of hitting $1 billion at the box office. Again, the trailer was building up lots of hype. Apparently, the newest footage that was shown at CinemaCon is absolutely incredible. So whenever they release that to the public, that will probably win a lot more people over. And plus, people do still like going to see Marvel movies. If this is just good and has good word of mouth, with the popularity of the Fantastic Four characters themselves, I think there's a good chance that this makes a lot of money. If you look at the MCU films that have made $1 billion, it definitely is up against it, because the only ones that are not like huge Avengers or team up films are pretty much Iron Man 3, Black Panther, and I guess you could qualify Deadpool and Wolverine as more of like not a huge team up, but it still had a lot of nostalgia and cameos to fuel that box office. And then Captain Marvel obviously came out in between Infinity War and Endgame. Everybody knew she was going to be an Endgame. It was almost like required viewing is what it felt like, so that got a huge boost. Will the Fantastic Four make it to $1 billion? I honestly think there's a little bit of a push because of the Avengers Doomsday hype that is building, and everybody knows they're going to be a big part of that film. I know this part sounds like a joke. It will probably be an amount that honestly is not even noticed, like maybe $1 million total added to the box office, but I honestly think there's a chance that the popularity of the Fantastic Four and Marvel Rivals will make some people go and see this movie that wouldn't have otherwise. Plus, even though I don't think the Thunderbolt is going to make a lot of money, if the movie is good and gets a lot of people invested back in the MCU again, and like I said, with the Doomsday hype, I think this has like a 40% chance. And number 2 is James Gunn's Superman. This movie is honestly just like the biggest wild card ever. It could completely tank and make like under $300 million worldwide, and the DCU is just dead on arrival, or it could literally end up being the event of the summer, and I hope it is. Footage that was shown in front of the Minecraft movie I thought looked absolutely incredible. I love the trailer for this. I think it's going to be the type of story that people are going to want to go out and see, because there is none of the prior cinematic universe buildup attached to this. People can just go out and see a Superman movie. I just hope people know that this is not a part of the old DCEU. This movie needs a win over like the casual viewer who just never goes to the theater besides like once or twice a year. They need to be the ones to go and check this film out. But I do think there is a decent chance. They just got to wrap up the marketing a huge amount here in the next couple months. I know it sounds overly optimistic. I'm going to give it a 60% chance. If James Gunn can make the Guardians films almost make $1 billion, I think with the popularity of Superman, he can do it. But at number 1, it's so easily Jurassic World Rebirth, which I'm going to give like an 85% chance, but I almost want to guarantee it and give it a 100% chance, because these movies just print money. They are so accessible to the common viewer. It's from one of the most famous movies of all time, obviously with Jurassic Park. All of the last Jurassic World trilogy all made over $1 billion, even though they were pretty terrible after the first one. Got the big summer release date. Yeah, it has to compete with Fantastic Four and Superman, but again, those are two superhero movies competing for kind of similar audiences. This is just for the big general audience, can go and see a big dumb action dinosaur movie, which actually looks like it's going to be pretty good. You got big names attached like Scarlett Johansson, you got an Oscar winner Mahershala Ali. I think this movie is pretty much guaranteed. If you're a fan of box office videos like these, tap the playlist above me for all my predictions for the box office for the next couple of years, what movies will flop and succeed, and so much more. And thank you so much for watching.